All right, my options heroes, welcome back. So, real quick, the previous lesson was pretty heavy. Um, there was a ton of information, as you're well aware by now. If you watched the video, if you haven't, go back and watch it. It's probably going to be one of the most important hours of your life. What we learned, we went over in that video, is how to tell exactly how far the market thinks a stock can go up or down in any time frame. That is some really, really cool stuff. I want to build on top of that now. I want to show you how to make money 95% of the time. As you saw in the last lesson, that's probably something that you can actually think of how you could do that right now. Before Options Hero, you probably thought that was something that was completely ridiculous to even bring up. You probably thought it was completely a scam. But the truth is, this is something that's really, really, really easy to do. And one of the really cool things about when I teach people this is a lot of people don't have the confidence. They're really afraid that they're going to lose money. But the reality is, if you're right 95% of the time, that means you're only wrong 5% of the time. If you do 100 trades in a year or in a month, you only have to worry about 5 losers. Could you imagine how much that would change your outlook on investing? Could you imagine how much more interested and and your desire for investing would go up just based off the fact that out of 100 trades, you only have to worry about losers 5 times? I can manage that. I can definitely live with that. I'll be so used to making winning trades every day, every week, every month, every year, that when I have 5% of the time losers, it's no big deal at all. So this video right here, this lesson number 5, we're going to show you exactly how to make money 95% of the time. And again, it's incredibly, incredibly easy. So let's go back to your new best friend. He's been my best friend for the better part of the last decade, but he's now your new best friend. And let's go over why. So in a previous video, not the last video, but in a previous video, we talked about how Delta does a few things, right? One of the things that Delta does is it measures the predicted price movement of an option per every $1 move in a stock. If we buy a 30 Delta call and the stock goes up $1, because of a 30 Delta of that option, we expect the value of that option to go up 30 cents. Right? No big deal, pretty straightforward. On top of that, it also gives us our synthetic share equivalent of stock. Again, same example. If we buy a 30 Delta call, it's the same exact synthetic equivalent as 30 shares of stock. So why is it the same? Well, if we have 30 shares of stock and the stock goes up $1, those 30 shares times 1 are now worth $1 more, so $30. If a 30 Delta option, if the underlying stock goes up $1, that option is now worth 30 cents more. So it's the exact same thing, or 30 bucks more, excuse me. But in the last lesson, we found out something that is just completely mind-blowing. Delta gives us the percentage chance of an option expires in the money. AKA, Delta gives us the percentage chance an option makes money at expiration. Big, big, big deal. Big, big, big deal. Remember, we went through all those scenarios in the last video. Again, watch that video again if you have any questions on that. But the reality is, Delta is a strategy that we use to say if an option is going to expire in the money and thus profitable at expiration. But is there a strategy where we can profit from an option expiring out of the money? Remember, if we buy a put or we buy a call, we are only profitable at expiration if the option is in the money. So for a call, we're only profitable if the stock is above the strike price of the option, and if we buy a put, we're only profitable if the stock is below the price of the put. Now, what if there's an option where it's the inverse? What if there's a strategy where we profit from the call expiring out of the money, which means the price of the strike is above the price of the stock, and on the other side, a put finishing out of the money is the price of the stock is above the price of the put. So what if that strategy was something that we can make profit on? Instead of options making money if they're in the money, can options make money if they're out of the money? So let's go through a few things here. First, the first thing I want to go over again, the title of this lesson is How to Make Money 95% of the Time. How amazing is that, right? So let's just go over a little bit of what we talked about in the last lesson as a primer for what we're going to talk about in this lesson. So we're going to do a little game here, a little Q&A, a little test to see if everyone is remembering what we learned in the last video, excuse me. Question: what if we wanted to buy a call where we were profitable 20% of the time? Remember, delta is the one that gives us all this information. So what if we wanted to buy a call where we make money 20% of the time? What would we do? Well, let's go into the platform. Let's get out all this jazz. Let's go into the platform and let's go to SPY. So we're going to go to the S&P 500 Index ETF to be able to decide this. So let's go to the monthly expiration, so the 15th September, expiring 43 days from now. Remember the question that we had. What if we wanted to buy a call where we were profitable 20% of the time? So if you don't know the answer to this, you need to go back. I'm telling you, you need to go back to the last video and watch it as many times as necessary. It's yours to keep forever, but you need to watch it as many times as necessary so that you know the answer like this. Real quick. If we want to buy a call where we are profitable 20% of the time, what delta would we be looking for? If we wanted to be right 20% of the time, simply put, we'd buy a 20 delta call. We go to our options. We go to our options right here. We go to the monthly expiration cycle in September. We go to the option that is closest to 20 delta. Here we see a 19 delta, the 252 strike, and we buy that. Buying the 252 strike gives us a 19% chance of making money, which means SPY has a 19% chance of being over $252 a share 43 days from now, right? Plain and simple, nice and easy, nice and easy. Let's do another question. What if we wanted to buy a put where we made money 60% of the time? Remember, we wanted to buy a call where we were profitable 20% of the time. Now, what if we wanted to buy a put where we made money 60% of the time, right? Again, if you don't know the answer to this, you have to go back or email me at steven@stonybrook-securities.com, whatever it is, right? What we want to do is we want to buy a 60 delta put. So we're on the put side here. We're on the put side here, and we want to find the option that's where the delta is closest to 60, right? Absolute value. So we see a 57 and a 63. Either one of those are fine. This looks like 63 and a half. This looks like 57.2. So this is probably the closest one, right? So what this says is SPY has a 57.26% chance, has a 57.26% chance expiring below or finishing below 248 43 days from now, right? It has a 57.26% chance of finishing below 248. It already is below 248 right now, which means the 248 put has a 57% chance of making money at expiration. Nice and easy on this. Nice and easy on this. Now, let's get to the good stuff, because ultimately this lesson is how to make money 95% of the time, right? So we just showed you how you can make money 20% of the time by buying a 20 delta call. We just show you how you can make money 60% of the time by buying a 60 delta put. But if the likelihood of an option, I'm just going to read this word for word. I usually don't like when people read straight from PowerPoints, but I don't have a lot of words in my PowerPoints. It's mostly like showing some charts or graphs or my trading platform, but I'm going to read straight from here, assuming I actually wrote this in like legible English. So if the likelihood of an option expiring in the money can be found by finding the absolute value of an option's delta. So remember, it's the absolute value. So this is a negative 57 delta. We want to take the absolute value when we're thinking about expiring in the money. So this is 57 here, right? The absolute value of an option's delta. How can we determine the chances that the option does not expire in the money, right? So the absolute value of an option's delta are its chances it expires in the money, right? So how do we find, and this is actually quite simple, how do we find the chances that an option does not expire in the money? So it expires out of the money, right? So for a call, expiring out of the money would be the strike of the call expires higher than the price of the stock. And on the put side, the price of the stock expires higher than the price of the put, right? So that's out of the money, right? And how do we determine that? Well, actually, it's really simple. Again, investing is a lot simpler than everyone thinks. Options Hero is really a primer to let everyone know that options are a really easy way to not only make a lot of money, but to reduce a ton of risk. But at the same time, it's showing you, Options Hero is showing you exactly how simple this really is. If you want to find the chances of an option making money, you find the absolute value of that option's delta. If you want to find the chances of that option expiring out of the money, just take the inverse. You just take the inverse. So let's play this little game again. Let's do this little quiz here. Now, on the flip side, what if we wanted to sell a call where we were profitable 80% of the time? So if we want to be profitable 80% of the time by selling a call, that would mean we would have to be right 20% of the time. If we buy this 19 delta call, that means we're right 20% of the time. But that also means we are wrong 80% of the time. 80% of the time we're wrong. And if we want to know the chances that this option is going to expire out of the money, it's 80%. And what is a bet we can make with options? What is a play we can make with options that allows us to make money if an option expires out of the money? It's selling a call, or it's selling an option. So now we're saying, okay, we're selling a 20, I know this says 19 over here, but let's call it 20 just because it's really easy for us to use that number. So if by buying this 20 delta call gives us a 20% chance of making money at expiration, selling it gives us an 80% chance of making money. So now we're saying there is an 80% chance, SPY does not close over 252 43 days from now. Now we're getting into some really, really interesting stuff. Now we're getting into some really, 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 really interesting stuff. This is what turns people into champions. This is currently turning you, and you might not even have any idea, but I'm telling you, it's currently turning you into an options hero. Now we're saying, hey, why the hell would I ever make a bet on something where I statistically have a 20% chance of making money? Why don't I just do the opposite and say, okay, I'm just going to do the opposite of that bet. And the opposite of that bet is, okay, I'm going to be right 80% of the time. Now we're getting into some really, really, really cool stuff. So again, an options, the absolute value of an options delta is its chances that it's going to make money at expiration. So the inverse of the options delta, or the options absolute value of a delta, or blah blah blah, whatever it is the chances it doesn't. So this option has a 20%, and again, I know it says 19, but just bear with me with the 20. If the 252 option has a 20 delta, that means there's a 20% chance of it expiring in the money, and obviously the inverse of that is an 80% chance of finishing out of the money. That's right, selling a 252 call, today is August 3rd, based off of everything that's currently going on in the world, everything that's priced into this, there is an 80% chance that SPY will not finish this expiration cycle, so will not close in 43 days above the 252 strike, which means the 252 call has an 80% chance of making money. An 80% chance of making money. That is some really powerful stuff. All my options heroes. That is powerful. Again, we want to sell a 20 delta call. Now, you want to learn how to make money 95% of the time. Are you ready? Are you excited? I'm thrilled. I'm getting goosebumps everywhere. I love teaching this shit. I got to tell you, I love teaching this stuff. I love teaching this because now that you heroes know this, you're never, ever, ever going to hand your money over to someone else to manage it for you. You're never going to let Wall Street just charge you fees every year. You're going to be able to do this by yourself all day, every day. So let's look at this one. Now, what if we wanted to sell a put where we made money 95% of the time? let's do this very basic. Let's do something first. What if we wanted to buy a put where we were right 5% of the time? The way to do that would be to find the put with the absolute value delta of 5, right? So there's a few of them here. There's the 223 put, the 222 put, the 221 put. I'm just going to do the one right smack in the middle. That's got a 4.7 delta. All right, 5.05 right here. You can see it down here. So that buying the 223 put with a negative 5 delta, right, absolute value of 5, says buying this option gives us a 5% chance of making money, because buying a put with a 5 delta says SPY has a 5% chance of closing below 223 43 days from now. So obviously the inverse of that is going to be SPY has a 95% chance. Let me repeat that. SPY has a 95% chance of expiring above 223. So 43 days from now, the closing price of SPY, the market is currently predicting, based off of everything that's going on, SPY only has a 5% chance of finishing below 223 and a 95% chance. That's right, a 95% chance of expiring above 223. So any price above 223. It could be 232. It could be 244. It could be 250. How amazing is that? And what's even more amazing about this, if you want to be right in SPY as everything stands today, you want to be right 95% of the time, you can sell a 223 put, right? So let's figure out how much room to the downside do you have. So the price right now is 246.96 and 223. So $23 is how much the market has to go down and close below. So get this straight, people. Know something. If SPY goes down $20 in the next 44 days, which is 9%, and you sold, so let's do that right here. Let's say SPY went down 9%, right? And it closed this expiration cycle, 43 days, at 224.37. At 224.37. If we sold the 223 put, right? We sold the 223 put, which means if SPY finishes at or above 223, we make money. Would we have made money on this deal? Of course we would have, and that's what's so amazing. I wish you were standing in front of me so I could shake you and just hug you, because this is so exciting for me. Get this straight. If you want to be right 95% of the time, which is what I'm showing you right here, 95% of the time, you can sell a 5 delta put. Selling a 5 delta put in this scenario means if SPY is closing price 43 days from now, or the day and time that these options expire, if it closes above 223 at that time, you make money. Which means, I wonder what 10% looks like here. No. Which means, get this straight, the market can go up wherever, and as long as it doesn't go down more than 9.69%, you make money. Now you have become a trader, Option Hero. Now you have become a trader, because now you've entered into a world that you didn't ever know existed. Now you've entered into a world where you don't have to be directionally right to make money. Let's say we bought SPY and it went down a penny. We'd lose money. But now we've sold this put and we have a cushion of 9.69%. Let me repeat that. We have a cushion of 9.69%. How much more confidence must that be giving you right now? How much more confidence must that be giving you right now? A lot of people say, well, I don't know much about the stock market. I don't know much about these stocks going up and down, sideways, whatever it is. Well, how big of a deal is it anymore? Not only have you just executed a trade that you're statistically going to be right 95% of the time, so 95 times out of 100, but you also don't start losing money until below 9.69%. So if SPY in the next 43 days goes down 9.5%, you made money. But if you bought stock, your stock position would go down 9.5%. You are now a trader because now you know how to make money when you're not directionally correct. Let me repeat that. Doing this allows you to make money when you're not directionally correct. So let's look at the other side real quick because I'm in such a happy mood here. Let's say we wanted to sell a call where we were right 90% of the time, right? 9 times out of 10. Right? Let's say we did that. We would find the 10 delta call. Why? The 10 delta call says there's a 10% chance that SPY is going to close above that strike. In this case, the 254 strike. The inverse of that is 90%. So there's a 90% chance SPY will finish below that, right? So if we were to go ahead and sell this call, we are saying we are going to be right 90% of the time. This is amazing, folks. So SPY can go up to 250, right? So we're betting directionally down here. If we're selling a call, we have downward direction. But it could go up a couple bucks and we can still make money. I'm so excited. We got a great video coming up next to show you how to buy stocks at a discount every single time. So I will see you on the video.